I loved him until I found a room full of MY pictures. He said he loved me, but he had been watching me for months. I thought I knew him until I opened that one door. The man I trusted most was hiding something. Terrified, I fell in love with him. Then I discovered his dark secret. I always believed love was supposed to feel safe. Not loud, not chaotic, not the kind that kept you up at night questioning your worth. Safe like coming home. And when I met Daniel Carter, I thought I had finally found that kind of love. It started on a rainy Thursday evening. The kind of rain that doesn't fall aggressively, but lingers, soft, cold droplets tapping against glass windows like quiet reminders of something you can't quite name. I was sitting inside a small cafe tucked between a bookstore and an old antique shop. The air smelled like freshly ground coffee beans mixed with cinnamon, and the faint hum of jazz music played in the background. Outside, people rushed by under umbrellas, their reflections blurring across the wet pavement. Inside, everything felt still, except me. My laptop screen glowed in front of me, filled with unfinished work. Deadlines, emails, expectations, it all felt suffocating. Long day. That voice. Warm, deep, unexpected. I looked up, and that's when I saw him. Daniel. He stood there casually, holding 2 cups of coffee like he already knew I needed one. His dark hair was slightly damp from the rain, and his sleeves were rolled up just enough to reveal strong forearms. But it wasn't his looks that caught me. It was his eyes. Calm, observant, almost like he could see right through the noise in my head. I didn't order that, I said, slightly confused. He smiled, soft, almost careful. You looked like you needed it. Something about that answer should have made me uncomfortable, but it didn't. Instead, it felt like relief. That was the beginning, and maybe that was the first sign I ignored. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into something else, something deeper. Daniel had a way of entering my life without forcing his presence. He didn't demand attention. He didn't try too hard. He just existed beside me, quietly becoming important. We started meeting at the same cafe, then walking together after, then dinners, then long drives where conversations stretched into silence. And somehow, even the silence felt meaningful. He listened, really listened, not like most people who waited for their turn to speak, but like someone who actually cared about the words you didn't say. You overthink everything, he told me once, smiling as we sat by the river one evening. The sky was painted in soft orange and fading blue, and the water reflected it like a broken mirror. And you don't think enough, I replied. He laughed. Maybe that's why we balance each other. Balance. That word stayed with me, because for the first time in my life, I felt it. But love doesn't always reveal its truth in the beginning. Sometimes it waits. There were small things, tiny details that didn't seem important at first, but they were there. I just didn't want to see them. Like how Daniel never talked about his past. Not really. Whenever I asked about his family, his childhood, or old relationships, his answers were always controlled, short, carefully measured. It wasn't anything special, he would say, or just the usual stuff. And then he'd change the subject. At first, I respected it. Everyone has things they're not ready to share, right? But then there were the nights he would disappear. Not completely. He would still text, still call, but something would feel off, like his voice wasn't fully there, like part of him was somewhere else. Are you okay? I asked him once. There was a pause. Too long. Yeah, he said finally. Just work. Work. That was always the answer. And I believed him. Because when he was with me, everything felt real, too real to question. One night, everything changed, but not in a dramatic, obvious way. No, it started quietly, like everything else. I was at his apartment for the first time, which, now that I think about it, was strange in itself. We had been together for almost 3 months, and yet I had never been there before. He always came to my place, or we met outside. Always. But that night, come over, he said. Simple, casual, like it meant nothing. His apartment was on the edge of the city, far from the noise, far from everything. The building itself was modern but oddly empty. The hallway lights flickered slightly, casting shadows that felt longer than they should be. I remember feeling it then, that subtle discomfort, that quiet voice inside me whispering, something's not right. But I ignored it because I trusted him, because I loved him. Inside, his apartment was minimal, too minimal. No personal photos, no decorations, no signs of a life being lived, just clean surfaces, neutral colors, silence. It's a bit empty, I said, trying to sound light. I like it that way, he replied. We sat together, talked, laughed. For a moment, everything felt normal again, until I got up to get water. That's when I saw it. The door, half open, at the end of the hallway. I don't know why it caught my attention. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was curiosity. Or maybe it was something deeper. Daniel? I called out. No response. He was still in the living room. Or at least, I thought he was. I walked closer, slowly, each step heavier than the last. The air felt different there. Colder, stiller. And then I pushed the door open. What I saw inside didn't make sense. At first, the room was dimly lit, curtains drawn, walls covered, not with paint, not with art, but with photographs. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, and every single one was of me. My breath stopped. Pictures of me walking, sitting, laughing, talking, from angles I didn't recognize, from moments I didn't remember being watched. My chest tightened. My mind refused to process what I was seeing. This wasn't possible. This didn't make sense. Claire, his voice, right behind me. I froze. Slowly, I turned around. And for the first time since I met him, Daniel didn't look calm. He looked caught. Close the door, he said quietly. And that's when I realized the man I loved was hiding something far darker than I ever imagined. My fingers trembled as they brushed against the edge of the door. For a moment, I thought about running, just turning around, grabbing my bag, and leaving that apartment, leaving him without looking back. But fear has a strange way of freezing you. And curiosity, it traps you even deeper. Close the door, Claire. Daniel's voice was calm. Too calm. Not angry. Not panicked. Controlled. Like he had already prepared for this moment long before it ever happened. Slowly, I pushed the door shut behind me. The soft click echoed louder than it should have. The room suddenly felt smaller, tighter, like the walls themselves were watching me now. I turned to face him. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear in my ears. What is this? My voice came out weaker than I expected. Daniel didn't answer immediately. Instead, his eyes moved, slowly scanning the walls, the photos, and then back to me, almost like he was deciding something. You weren't supposed to see this yet, he said quietly. Yet, that word hit harder than anything else. Yet, I repeated, my voice rising slightly. Daniel, these are pictures of me. Do you understand how insane that sounds? He took a step closer. Instinctively, I stepped back. Don't, I said quickly. He stopped, but his expression changed, not into anger. Something worse. Disappointment. I was going to explain everything, he said. Just not like this. Then explain it now. Silence filled the space between us. Heavy, suffocating. I could feel the air pressing against my chest, making it harder to breathe. I've been watching you for a long time, Claire. The words landed like a punch. No! I shook my head immediately. No, that's not funny. That's not something you joke about. I'm not joking. My stomach dropped. Cold fear spread through my body like poison. How long? I whispered. He hesitated, just for a second. But that second told me everything I needed to know. Before we met, he said finally, I felt the ground shift beneath me. That doesn't make sense, I said quickly, trying to hold on to logic, onto something real. We met at the cafe. That was the first time. No, he interrupted softly. That's just the first time you noticed me. Something inside me cracked. My mind started racing, memories overlapping, moments replaying. That cafe, the way he approached me, the coffee he brought, the way he looked at me like he already knew me. You planned it, I said, barely able to form the words. He didn't deny it. Why? My voice broke. Why would you do something like this? For the first time, Daniel looked human, not calm, not controlled, but conflicted. Because I had to be sure, he said. Sure of what? That you were real. The answer made no sense. And yet, the way he said it made it sound like it meant everything. I don't understand. I whispered. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing slightly now. You ever feel like something in your life is repeating? He asked. What? Like patterns you can't explain. People you lose. Things that don't make sense but keep happening anyway. I stared at him. This wasn't an explanation. This was something else. Something deeper. Something darker. My mother used to say it was a curse, he continued quietly. That some people are meant to relive the same pain over and over again. Daniel, I've lost you before. The words hit like silence. Heavy. Impossible. What did you just say? He looked at me now. Really looked at me. And for the first time, there was fear in his eyes. I've seen you die. My breath caught. No. I said immediately, shaking my head. No, that's not real. That's not possible. This is crazy, he finished. Yes. I thought so, too, he said. At first. My chest tightened. This wasn't just wrong. This was terrifying. You need help, I said, backing away slightly. Daniel, this isn't normal. This isn't love. His expression hardened slightly at that. You think I don't know that? He said quietly. You think I wanted this? Then what is this? I shouted, my voice finally breaking under the pressure. He gestured toward the walls. The photos. The evidence. This is me trying to understand why every time I find you, I lose you. The room felt like it was spinning. I don't know what you're talking about. I whispered. You don't remember, he said softly. Remember what? He stepped closer again, slower this time. Careful. Every life, he said. Every version of this you and me, it always ends the same way. My heart was racing so fast it hurt. You're lying, I said, but even I could hear the uncertainty in my voice now. Am I? He asked quietly. He reached into his pocket, pulled something out. A photograph, different from the ones on the wall. Older, worn. He held it out to me. I didn't want to take it, but I did. And the moment I looked at it, my entire body went cold. It was me, but not me. The clothes were different. Old-fashioned. The background unfamiliar. But the face, it was mine, standing next to him, smiling, dated. That's not possible, I whispered. You died 2 weeks after that picture, he said. My hand started shaking violently. This is fake, I said quickly. It has to be Photoshop editing, something. That picture existed before you were even born, Claire. Silence. Pure, terrifying silence. I found you again this time, he continued, and I needed to do it right. I needed to understand what goes wrong before it happens. Tears filled my eyes, not from sadness, from fear, from confusion, from the horrifying possibility that maybe, just maybe, he believed every word he was saying. You've been stalking me, I said, my voice barely audible. I've been protecting you. By watching me, taking pictures of me without my consent, lying to me, by making sure you stay alive. The intensity in his voice sent a chill down my spine. From what? I whispered. He didn't answer immediately, and somehow that scared me more than anything he had already said. From what, Daniel? I repeated, louder this time. His jaw tightened. His eyes shifted slightly, toward the door, and that's when I heard it. A sound, soft, almost unnoticeable, but definitely there. A creak from outside the room. We both froze. Did you hear that? I whispered. Daniel's expression changed instantly. All the calm gone. Stay here, he said sharply. What? Don't move. And then he walked out, leaving me alone, in that room, surrounded by versions of myself I didn't understand, and a truth that felt more like a nightmare than reality. I stood there frozen, listening. Every second stretched longer. Every sound felt louder. And then a shadow moved under the door. My breath stopped because whatever Daniel was hiding wasn't just in his past. It was here, now, and it was coming closer. My body refused to move. Even when every instinct inside me screamed to run, the shadow under the door shifted again. Slow, deliberate, like whoever or whatever was out there wasn't in a hurry. I stopped breathing, not intentionally. My lungs just forgot how. Daniel, I whispered. No answer. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was alive, pressing in, listening. Another creak, closer this time. My eyes darted toward the walls, toward the hundreds of photos of me staring back like silent witnesses. For a second, it felt like they were warning me, like they had always known this moment would come. Think, Claire, think. I forced my legs to move. One slow step backward, then another. The window. There was a window behind me. If I could just... The doorknob moved. A soft click. I froze again. The door didn't open immediately. It just stayed there, slightly unlocked now, like something on the other side was deciding whether to come in. My heart slammed violently against my chest. Daniel, I tried again, louder this time. Still nothing. And then the door opened, just a few inches, enough for darkness to spill inside. But no face, no body, nothing I could fully see, just presence, cold, heavy, wrong. My vision blurred slightly as panic took over. This isn't real, I whispered to myself. This isn't happening. But it was. The door creaked open a little more. And then, a voice, not Daniel's. Claire, it wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. It was familiar, too familiar. My blood turned to ice, because that voice sounded like mine. I stumbled backward, hitting the edge of the desk behind me. No, I said, shaking my head. No, no, no. Claire, closer now. The door opened wider, and that's when I saw it. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. A figure, my height, my shape, standing in the doorway. But its face wasn't right. It looked like me, but distorted, like a reflection in broken glass. Eyes slightly too wide, smile slightly too slow. My stomach twisted violently. This isn't real, I repeated louder now, desperate to believe it. The thing tilted its head, exactly the way I do when I'm confused. You always say that. My voice, coming from something that wasn't me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. This wasn't possible. Stay away from me, I shouted, grabbing the nearest object, a small metal lamp, and holding out like it would somehow protect me. The thing didn't move closer. It just smiled. You never listen, it said softly. Tears streamed down my face now. Were you? I whispered. It didn't answer. Instead, it stepped inside. And the moment it did, the temperature in the room dropped. I could see my breath, feel the cold crawling across my skin. You always trust him, it continued. Every time. My grip tightened around the lamp. Stop talking like that. I said, stop using my voice. It is your voice. The words echoed slightly, wrong, layered, like two voices speaking at once. You just don't remember yet. Remember what? I screamed. Suddenly, footsteps, fast. Daniel. He rushed into the room and froze the moment he saw it. For the first time since I met him, Daniel looked terrified. Get away from her, he shouted. The thing turned its head toward him slowly and smiled wider. There you are, it said. Daniel stepped in front of me immediately, shielding me. Don't listen to it, he said quickly, his voice tense. Whatever it says, don't believe it. What? I asked that. I cried. His jaw tightened. It's the reason you keep dying. The words hit like a shockwave. My mind couldn't process them. The thing laughed softly. You always blame me, it said. Daniel didn't respond, but I felt it, the tension in his body, the fear. Claire, he said quickly, without looking back at me. You need to leave, right now. I'm not leaving you. I said immediately. Yes, you are, he snapped. Because if you stay, you'll die again. The thing finished his sentence. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. My legs felt weak. Again, I whispered. The thing took another step forward. Daniel moved with it, blocking it. You can't stop this, it said calmly. I can try, Daniel replied. You've tried before. I'll try again. The thing's smile faded slightly, and for the first time, it looked annoyed. This is getting boring, it said. Before I could react, it moved. Fast. Too fast. 1 second it was across the room. The next, it was right in front of Daniel. He barely had time to react before it grabbed him and threw him against the wall. Daniel! I screamed. The impact echoed through the room. He hit the ground hard, not moving for a second. No, no, no. I ran toward him instinctively. Stop. The voice. Right behind me. I froze. Slowly turned. It was inches away now. Its face clearer. More detailed. More wrong. You shouldn't be here this time, it said softly. Tears blurred my vision. What do you want from me? I whispered. Its expression softened slightly. And somehow, that scared me even more. I want what always happens. My heart dropped. And what is that? It leaned closer. Close enough for me to feel its cold breath against my skin. You break. My chest tightened. You lose him. I couldn't move. And then, its smile returned. Slow. Cool. You disappear. A sob escaped my lips. Why? I whispered. And this time, it answered. Because you were never supposed to exist. Everything stopped. My thoughts. My breath. My sense of reality. What? I whispered. Behind me, Daniel groaned, trying to move. Claire, his voice weak. Run. But I couldn't, because the truth was pulling me deeper. What does that mean? I asked, my voice shaking. The thing tilted its head again. It means, it said softly, this isn't your life. My heart dropped into darkness. It never was. This isn't your life. The words didn't just echo in the room. They echoed inside me, like something ancient had just been awakened. My ears rang. My vision blurred. And for a moment, I wasn't standing in that room anymore. I was somewhere else. A different place. A different time. The scent hit me first. Burning wood. Smoke. Something destroyed. I blinked rapidly, trying to ground myself. But the room around me flickered, like a broken memory, struggling to hold its shape. No! I whispered, clutching my head. No, this isn't real. It is, the thing said softly. Its voice was closer now. Inside my head. You're finally remembering. I don't want to remember. I shouted, dropping to my knees. Pain shot through my skull. Sharp, relentless. Images flooded in. Not thoughts, not imagination. Memories. A woman running. My face. But not me. Different clothes. Different world. Older. Softer. Happier. Daniel. That version of me screamed. I saw him, standing in the distance, reaching for me. And then, darkness. A hand, grabbing me from behind. A whisper in my ear. Cold. Familiar. You shouldn't exist. I gasped, snapping back into the present. The room came rushing back. The walls. The photos. Daniel, still struggling to stand. And it, standing in front of me, watching, waiting. What was that? I whispered, my entire body shaking. The thing smiled faintly. That was the first time. My heart dropped. First time? I repeated weakly. You don't belong here, Claire, it said. You were never supposed to come back after that. My breathing became uneven. Come back? From what? Before it could answer, Daniel's voice cut through the tension. Don't listen to it. I turned toward him. He was on his feet now, barely, but standing. His face was pale, blood at the corner of his lip, but his eyes focused only on me. It's lying, he said, his voice strained but urgent. It always twists the truth. The thing chuckled softly. I don't need to lie, it said. She's already starting to see it. See what? I cried, looking between them. Daniel took a step toward me. You were real, he said firmly. Every version of you, every life, you were real. The thing tilted its head slightly. For a while, Daniel's jaw tightened. Stop. But not anymore, it continued calmly. This version of her, this life, it looked directly into my eyes. This is a mistake. Something inside me cracked again. I'm not a mistake. I whispered. The thing didn't hesitate. You are. The word hit harder than anything else. Tears spilled down my face. No, I shook my head. No, that's not true. Claire, Daniel said quickly, stepping closer. Look at me. I did. Whatever it says, whatever you're seeing, it's trying to break you, he continued, because that's how it wins. How it wins? I screamed. The thing stepped forward again. Slow, controlled. It feeds on endings, it said. Silence. What does that even mean? I whispered. It means, Daniel said tightly, it exists to make sure our story never finishes. My breath caught. Our story? The thing smiled again. You think this is a love story? It said softly. It was. Daniel snapped. The tension between them thickened. It always starts that way, the thing continued. Hope, love, connection. It stepped closer, and then it looked directly at me. I take it away. My chest tightened painfully. Why? I whispered. For a moment, just a moment, the thing's expression changed. Not cruel, not mocking, almost sad, because it was never meant to exist. It said quietly. Daniel shook his head. That's not true. It is, the thing replied. She was never supposed to survive the first time. My mind reeled. Survive what? Daniel closed his eyes briefly. Like he didn't want to say it, but he had to. You died, he said softly. The words hit like ice. In every life, he continued, something happens, something unnatural, something that doesn't make sense. The thing smiled faintly. That's me. Daniel ignored it. But this time, he said, looking at me again, this time something changed. I held my breath. You didn't die. Silence. You lived, he finished. My heart pounded violently. That's a good thing, right? I said, my voice trembling. Neither of them answered immediately, and that silence told me everything. No, I whispered. No, don't tell me. It broke the pattern, Daniel said quietly. The thing's smile widened again. And now, it added, I have to fix it. Fear surged through me like fire. How? I asked. The thing stepped even closer. So close now that I couldn't step back anymore. There are only two ways this ends, it said. My heart felt like it was going to stop. Either you die, my breath caught, or he does. Time froze. No, I said immediately. No, that's not happening. It always happens, the thing replied calmly. Daniel stepped in front of me again. Not this time. The thing laughed softly. You've said that before. Then I'll keep saying it, he snapped. My hands trembled as I grabbed his arm. Daniel, I whispered, what do we do? For the first time, he hesitated, and that hesitation terrified me more than anything. I don't know, he admitted quietly. The thing tilted its head. You already do. Daniel's expression darkened. No. Yes, it insisted. You've always known. My heart dropped. Knew what? I asked. Daniel didn't answer. He couldn't even look at me now. Daniel, my voice broke. Finally, he spoke. There's one way to stop it. Silence filled the room again. What way? I whispered. His eyes slowly met mine, and in them, I saw it. Fear, pain, love, and something else. Acceptance. It needs a choice, he said. What kind of choice? The thing smiled wider. A sacrifice. My chest tightened painfully. No. I shook my head immediately. No, we'll find another way. There isn't one, Daniel said softly. Tears streamed down my face. Then we don't play by its rules. I cried. The thing stepped back slightly. Watching. Enjoying this. You always say that too, it said. I ignored it. There has to be another way. I insisted, gripping Daniel's shirt, but he just looked at me like he already knew how this would end. And that's when I realized something terrifying. Daniel, I whispered slowly. His expression didn't change. You've done this before, haven't you? Silence. He didn't deny it. My heart shattered. Which one was it? I asked, my voice barely audible. Me or you? A tear slipped down his cheek. And in that moment, I got my answer. It was always me, he whispered. My world collapsed. No, I said, shaking my head violently. No, you can't. But he was already stepping back. Toward it. Daniel, stop. I screamed, but he didn't, because this wasn't the first time. And if he had his way, it wouldn't be the last. Oh! My scream tore through the room as Daniel stepped away from me. Toward it. Toward that thing. Toward the same ending he had chosen again and again. Daniel, stop. I ran forward, grabbing his arm with both hands, holding on like my life depended on it. Because maybe it did. You said it yourself. I cried, my voice shaking uncontrollably. It always ends the same way, so why are you letting it happen again? He turned to me slowly, and in his eyes, there was no fear anymore. No panic, just love. Because this time you lived, he said softly. Tears blurred my vision. That doesn't mean you have to die. I shouted. It does if it keeps you safe. No. I shook my head violently. That's not love, Daniel. The thing behind him chuckled softly. It always comes to this, it said. He sacrifices. You survive. And then it tilted its head slightly. I find you again. My chest tightened painfully. No, I whispered. Daniel gently removed my hands from his arm. Claire, his voice was calm, almost too calm. Listen to me. I'm not listening if you're about to leave me. I cried. You have to, he said firmly now, because this is the only moment we've ever had that's different. I froze. Different. The word echoed in my mind. You said it yourself. I whispered, my thoughts racing. Something changed this time. He nodded slowly. You didn't die. I turned my head slowly toward the thing. It was watching us, closely, carefully, like it was waiting for something, for a decision, a realization, and suddenly something clicked. A thought, small at first, then louder, stronger. What if I whispered? Daniel frowned slightly. What if we've been wrong this whole time? The thing's smile faltered, just for a second. What do you mean? Daniel asked. My heart started racing, not from fear this time, but from clarity. You said it needs a choice, I said, stepping back slightly, my voice gaining strength. A sacrifice. Yes, the thing said calmly. But what if... I swallowed hard, my gaze locking onto it. It's not about who dies. Silence. The room felt like it held its breath. The thing's expression darkened slightly. Careful, it said, but I didn't stop. What if it's about breaking pattern? I continued, my voice shaking but determined, not repeating it. Daniel stared at me now, hope flickering behind his fear. Claire, he whispered, all this time. I continued, my mind racing through everything. You've been choosing the same ending. Sacrifice, death, loss. The thing stepped forward slightly. Because that's the only ending that exists, it said. No, I said firmly. For the first time, I wasn't scared of it. That's the only ending you've been given. I corrected. Its smile disappeared completely. There's a difference. Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. You think you can outsmart something older than your existence? It asked quietly. No, I said honestly. My hands trembled slightly, but I stood my ground. But I think you're not as powerful as you want us to believe. Daniel inhaled sharply. The thing's eyes darkened. Explain, it said coldly. I took a slow breath. You said I wasn't supposed to survive the first time. I said, it didn't respond. You said this life is a mistake. Still nothing. But mistakes don't repeat. I continued. If something happens over and over again, I stepped closer. It's not a mistake. Silence. It's a pattern. I finished. The room felt like it shifted. And patterns, I said, my voice steady now, can be broken. The thing moved instantly, faster than before. In a second, it was right in front of me, its face inches from mine. Twisted, angry. You don't understand what you are, it whispered. Then tell me. I shot back. For a moment, just a moment, it hesitated, and that hesitation was everything. You are the glitch, it said finally. My heart skipped. The one who keeps slipping through. It continued. The one who refuses to end when she's supposed to. I swallowed hard. And you? I asked. Its expression hardened again. I am the correction. Silence. Everything clicked into place. You're not here to punish us, I said slowly. It didn't respond. You're here to fix something. Daniel looked between us, confused but listening. And every time, I continued, you force the same ending because it restores whatever balance you think is broken. The thing's jaw tightened. But this time, I whispered, it didn't work. Silence. Because I didn't die. The tension in the room became unbearable. And now you don't know what to do, I said. The thing didn't move, didn't speak, which was answer enough. Daniel stepped closer to me now. Claire, his voice filled with something fragile. What are you saying? I turned to him. I'm saying we stop playing its game. The thing laughed suddenly. Sharp, cold. And how do you plan to do that? It asked. Refuse to choose? Yes. The word came out stronger than I expected. Silence. That's not an option, it said. It is if we make it one. I replied, it will kill you both. Then do it, I said. Daniel's eyes widened. Claire. I grabbed his hand tightly. No more running. I whispered. No more repeating. No more sacrifices. My heart pounded. If this ends, it ends differently. The thing stared at us, studying, calculating. You think defiance changes fate? It asked. No, I said quietly. I squeezed Daniel's hand. I think choice does. Silence fell again, long, heavy, and then something impossible happened. The room started to crack, not physically, not like walls breaking, but like reality itself was splitting. The photos on the walls flickered, changed, disappeared. The air shifted, warmer now, lighter. The thing stepped back slightly, confused. No, it whispered. Daniel looked around, stunned. What's happening? I didn't answer, because I didn't fully understand it either. But I felt it, something breaking, something ending. Stop this, the thing said, its voice no longer calm. For the first time, it sounded afraid. You don't get to rewrite this, it snapped. Watch me, I whispered. The crack spread, faster now, the world around us folding into something new. The thing lunged toward us, but this time, it didn't reach us. It froze, like it was losing control. No, it shouted. This isn't how it goes, this isn't. And then, it shattered, not into pieces, but into nothing. Gone, just like that. Silence, complete, overwhelming silence. Daniel's grip on my hand tightened. Is it over? He asked quietly. I looked around. The room was different now. Warmer, brighter, normal. No photos, no darkness, no fear. I whispered, yes. For the first time, everything felt real. No repeating, no watching, no ending waiting to happen. Just now. Daniel pulled me into his arms suddenly, tightly, like he was afraid I'd disappear. I thought I lost you again, he whispered into my hair. I held on to him just as tightly. You didn't, I said softly. And for once, that was true. No shadows, no patterns, no second chances needed. Just us. But as I closed my eyes, one thought lingered quietly in the back of my mind. If I was the glitch, then what did that make this world? And somewhere, far beyond what we could see, something shifted. Not gone, just watching.